Alrighty, and we're live. Welcome everybody to the Illuvium Town Hall on the MMO. This is the fourth town hall in this town hall week. We had to push it back a day, but I think Kieran probably got some more information from Perry. Some cool stuff to tell you guys, I'm sure, about the MMO. We've got like about 50 people playing now that I've seen, across different time zones playing and testing. So I think people even have more questions, I mean, besides getting access, which I will say I kind of messed up there. So some of you wanted access and I got some more people access. And typically what happens is when we get access codes, Jeremy will hide like extra codes from me. And I don't think he did this time. So we're like out of codes. So I'm trying to get some more codes before this playtest ends. But yeah, I'm sure Kieran will have more information about when the next play test is. But yeah, people have had a good time so far, and we got a ton of stuff to cover about the MMO today. So yeah, Kieran, you want to jump right into it?
Yeah, for sure. Alrighty. So, the format I've been doing for these town halls, just to make it easy for everyone to follow, is we just go through a bit of an agenda, and then I will go through one by one in more detail what's happening. As Rich said, today we are focused on our flagship game, the Illuvium MMO, which we might actually have a new name for. So I would normally call it what we've been saying the past year or so, but yeah, it's up for discussion what that new name is, and I won't say it today, but that's why I'm just calling it the Illuvium MMO. So first thing is the core vision for the MMO and where we're at in development. As Rich said, we have about 50 people that are playing currently. When I say playing, it's more so doing QA testing for us, which is really, really helping out. And Perry spent a lot of time with those people, listening to feedback, and so that's what's been happening. We're going to go through the monetization model. Then we're going to go through the current state of the economy, give you a little bit more information about on-chain and off-chain, and a burn system as well. I know a lot of people have been asking about that and saying, like, what happens to my existing NFTs? Do they port over? How do they port over? All of that kind of stuff. So hopefully I'll shine a little bit more light on that. We'll talk about the feedback from the testers that we've gotten, the good stuff and the bad stuff, what's working, what's not. Then we'll talk about the next major feature update and what we're building towards. We'll also talk about testing cadence. So how often, now that we've shut down the old overworld, how often we'll allow people back in and how that's going to work moving forward. And then connecting the ecosystems, we've got a little discussion around Illuvium Zero and how that's going to tie into the MMO. I know a lot of people, a lot of landholders have been hanging out to find out how that system is going to work. So outside of course, fuel, which still will work. So yeah, and then we'll go into a QA as well. So yeah, I think, did we lose Rich again?
No, 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 I'm
Oh
here.
no.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah, so if there's nothing from you, Rich, then I'll start jumping in.
Yeah, just that we'll hold the questions till the end. Like I said, a lot of people submitted questions already, so like this will cover all of those submitted questions. And if you get here late, this is also live. So yeah, but you're welcome to come up and ask questions at the end or post them in chat, and I'll follow along. So, but yeah, let's get started.
Awesome. So state of the MMO and what our core vision is. So the goal is to build an ARPG experience that is massive, multiplayer, engaging, and really worthy of what the Illuvium universe was always meant to be. Doing the IP justice, the art, the characters, the lore, the design, and putting it all together in an experience that makes people say, wow, I love playing this game. That's the core thesis that we have with this game, and it's why our main priority is just making sure that the MMO is a great game. It's why we've diverted so many resources away from games like Arena and Zero. It's to build the biggest possible experience we can and the best experience, because we know that that's what the largest portion of our audience is waiting for and has been waiting for 5 years now, and we just want to do it justice and make sure that it is an awesome game. We've got some really good feedback from people on different features that we have, from multiplayer, the skill tree, crafting, different classes that are working. Well, one class that is working and one that needs a little bit of work. But the ARPG loop is really strong, which is good. That puts us with a good base, and it allows us to really build off that. There are a number of issues that we do need to fix in terms of creature capture. That is probably the biggest one that we need to get right. And this is why it's so good having the community test it, because we have the ability to get in our own head. We've been developing this for many years. So having someone else come out and say, like, why is it like this? It feels off. It should feel like this. This is what our expectations were, is a really, really good thing. And it's something that we've been talking about for like 5 years now, that we would get the community before we, polish features and lock them in. We will get the people who are playing the overworld the most to give us that feedback. And now we're actually implementing that, and it's really good. Perry has said he's super happy with the testing, even though there's been a bunch of stuff like the fighter class, the UI, the UX needs a little bit of work. There has been stuff in terms of like boss design and questing and how we can make that better. So we're definitely not saying the first test has been perfect and everyone's saying the game's amazing and they're raving, but it's been unbelievably useful for our vision and being able to start painting on this canvas, which is in front of us. And we will take all of the feedback that you guys have given us. We know that you put in a lot of hours, some people 10 plus hours. That's super helpful for us. And when we finally deliver the polished final product, finished product, you'll be able to say, I genuinely helped craft and design and build that game, which I think is a really, really cool experience that not many players inside of a gaming ecosystem get to experience. The next one is the monetization model. So we've been a little bit silent on how we're going to do this, and I can shed a little bit more light on what we're doing there now. So we want the game to be palatable for mainstream, right? Like, it needs to still feel fun for mainstream. And so we've had to ensure that we disconnect as much as possible the crypto elements of the game, but also make it an optional experience that is seamless and easy to get into if you wish, right? So definitely not needed to play the game, and you can still pay, and there's still monetization without crypto off chain, but on chain, that's obviously where we want players to eventually migrate to, and it's about making that experience as good as possible. And that's something that we did very poorly with the initial opening of Overworld, and we've got a lot of lessons on how we do that. But basically, meaningful syncs, meaningful progression paths, actually making it feel like people need to grind to go through and finish the game and get to a complete character that has really good armor, really good weapons, is able to fight the larger stage content bosses and stuff like that, and not having any cheap shortcuts in the middle. Obviously, as I said, people can engage and do everything off chain, but the idea is if you do want to opt into on chain, you can. And that experience just it needs to be seamless in a way where someone can't just have $1 million and go into the game and be the best ranger running around and have everything. They still need to be able to spend that $1 million, but it has to be gated by things like level and TPI rating and stuff like that to ensure that the free-to-play players aren't looking around and they're like, okay, well, this game is just 100 whales and there's no point in me doing, what I want to do, which is typically free-to-play grind, and then eventually start paying for things when I get inside the loop and I have fun, right? So it's about balancing those. Obviously, there is a huge, call it advantage when it comes to monetization with going on chain. There's a lot of avenues there where we can monetize, but being very, very strategic about how we put those pillars in when it comes to the economy, so it doesn't feel like it did originally, where there's microtransactions throughout the entire game, and it just doesn't feel good. So how the Illuvials fit into the MMO economy? There's on-chain and off-chain. So you are able to capture all of the Illuvials that you can off-chain and on-chain. The only difference is to make it on-chain, as in to opt in to bringing that alluvial across, there is a dynamic fee that you need to pay, and that basically reacts to market conditions, right? So the type, the TPI, and a bunch of other different factors, which makes it, again, you don't need to do that to play with these alluvials. If you obviously want to, you can do the entire experience, but if you do want to go and sell one of them, then you need to bring it on chain, obviously, right? So then it does allow you to bypass parts of the game, which is specific to grinding, but not to the point where it's just a cheat code, right? And that's when I talk about the balance. It has to still be a substantial grind for everyone, right? It doesn't matter if you've got $1 million and you want everything to go on chain and you go and buy it all. There will be limitations such as level and stuff like that, where you can't play with a level 50 Ramfire when your range is level 1, right? Like we just don't want that experience because we feel like it'll break the joy for other players. So high rarity distribution for off-chain alluvials is much rarer than on-chain, right? So that's one way that we do give an advantage to people that are that have on-chain alluvials. That is one of the main ways that we're going to make our revenue, is that fee for people who want to bring alluvials on chain. So there needs to be some advantage, again, not game breaking, but some advantage for people who are paying versus people who aren't. But it also needs to ensure that the guy who isn't paying, who just wants to play through, and maybe he's paying a sub, so he's still a paying user, but he's just not willing to go in and pay $50,000 like a crypto whale would be. It's about balancing that, but that's how we're thinking about the economy. And then the burn system. So a major part of crafting, specifically enhancements and rare item creation, which is where I think there's Legends of Ymir is doing a really good job of this. There's a couple of other games that in the past have done really well at this. I think items and enhancements, making them really rare, making them really hard to get, making them at the end of a progression loop, uh, is what is going to keep the economy thriving. Of course, as well, very high level alluvials with high TBI, they're going to be super sought after, especially those that are on chain. But completing a quest and having a random drop and getting something that's 1 in 1,000, and you're the dude who's got the sword, and then you've enhanced that sword, that I think is the biggest allure for someone like me. That's where I would be happy to go into a game and spend a lot of money to get an item like that. And it would keep its value because it's super rare, super hard to get. And so crafting that will require you using alluvials. So that's the way that we balance the economy. Right now, there's no burning system for alluvials. So you just see a ridiculous amount of alluvials that are low TPI that people have been saying for years and years and years, we don't want these, and give us a way to burn them. Even if you give us 1/10 of the value back, at least it's something. We're not going to be able to use them otherwise. And so this is going to be an integral part of the new MMO, where as soon as we go live, there will be this burning system, and that's going to tie into you being able to get these enhancements for things like items and stuff like that. On-chain alluvials will of course be part of the loop, as I said, and crucial for the long-term value flowing through the ecosystem. Right? Not hard to understand. We need people that are paying to have their alluvials on chain, and therefore there needs to be some type of bonus for these people that are willing to do that. And if you see someone going around with, these items that I'm talking about, these swords that are super unique and rare, and you think to yourself, well, I want to get one of them, but you've never brought an alluvial on chain, that's when we start, not making it mandatory, to be clear, but slightly pushing the user into, maybe you want to do this. That's how you can get, gear in this top echelon, which are, super unique. So I'm really excited about monetization in the MMO. I think it's way better than the original system that we had, and I think we had a lot of limitations with the old overworld. There wasn't that much to do, whereas now with the MMO, there's going to be so much more progression systems. It opens things up for us to be able to start tinkering, and of course none of this is set in stone, but we're really set on off-chain and on-chain, so we can create the experience for both mainstream and crypto users, and both be happy that that they can exist without needing to cross over at all. Cool. I see your question, Taryn. We'll get to that at the end. We touched on this earlier, but initial feedback from testers, and we want to be transparent about this. So we put an NDA out on the MMO, and pretty quickly after, Perry said, you know what, like, we've got some people who want to create content and tweets and social proof and all this kind of stuff. And we had a chat about it, and I said, you know what, like, we're pretty known for being transparent. It's a pre-alpha build. It's something that isn't really done in the gaming industry, where it's like a community QA test build. It's gonna have bugs. It's gonna have features which are that need a lot of polish, and it's gonna have stuff that just purely doesn't work, right? Do we accept that? Do people know that? I think yes, and yes. And we came to an agreement that, you know what, it's probably looks worse if we're like, people are testing this, but we're not going to let them share it. So we decided pretty quickly to open it up, and the NDA then didn't matter so much. And here's a list of what's working and what needs a really hard look. So multiplayer, and I knew this, right? I felt this as soon as I went. We do game testing every Thursday night, and we usually get about 20 to 25 devs that come in and play. The first day, I think it was me, Rich, maybe like Jackson, Taryn, and a couple of others. I think it could have even been a marketing meeting. We went and played the boss, and it was very early. It like super, super early, needed a lot of work. There wasn't even nations or anything like that. But the feeling that I got seeing another player in the overworld was like, this is a different game. This is like we've, and I think the cool thing about getting a lot of people in that had played the overworld for 2 3 years and like 20,000 hours plus is they were also in the same boat as us, right? Like where a feature like multiplayer was groundbreaking. In an MMO, it's literally in the name, right? Like it's if someone if a new player from mainstream that downloads the game off Steam or whatever is like, whoa, I see another player, then you've got an issue, right? But for us OGs, it's like, holy shit, the whole experience changes and it makes it feel so much more large, so much more social. The it's just a much more fun experience. So so multiplayer, without a doubt, everyone's super happy with that, and that was going to be an obvious one. The skill tree direction is strong. Still a little bit of feedback here and there from players, but for the most part, they like the idea of progressing through the skill tree that we have, which is really good. Crafting is feeling good, which is awesome because crafting certainly didn't feel good in the old overworld. That was one of the things where I was like, this is just super frustrating. Scion class is feeling good. I was the first person to say that the fighter class needs a ton of work. So and that's a good segue into what does need a look. Capture. Our unique source that we have that no one else has is the creatures and the IP. And when I say no one else has, there's obviously games like Pokemon that exist where people love the IP and the characters. Palworld didn't have that, right? They had a very fun experience where the combat was you can shoot these animals that or creatures that you probably shouldn't be shooting. And a lot of people for years and years and years were like, let me kill a Pokemon, right? Like it was a bit of a meme and super viral on Reddit. So these guys were like, fuck it, we'll allow them to kill our creatures. Now, that was very cool, and that mechanic went viral. Pokemon with guns, it was amazing, but it I never felt like I wanted to get to know the characters. I wanted to understand the lore behind the characters. I didn't feel good about capturing it. It was all about put them to work, do what I say, you're my slave type thing. Whereas we have a different direction, and we need to make sure we nail this. And it starts obviously with the capture experience or the encounter rather, that needs to feel like, whoa, I've encountered something that I don't have. It's like seeing something for the first time. You've got to feel like a majestic feeling where it's like, wow, I'm seeing this thing for the first time. Now the intensity increases, and it's like, I don't want to lose this thing because your anxiety is rising, your dopamine's rising. Then you've got the capture. Now that capture experience we have to nail. It's a non-negotiable in our game, and it needs a lot of work from where it's at now. But we've got some really good feedback from what people expect, what they would love, what they think is unique and they haven't ever experienced before. And so that's the number one thing on our list from this playtest, to go back. And we sort of knew, like, we're not complete idiots when it comes to what we're building, but we thought, let's just put this out. It's going to need some work, and of course, it came back, and that was one of the big things that we need to work on. Fighter, I mentioned before, needs a lot of work. The animation doesn't feel good. The fluidity of the sword going through, like, it's a little bit off. It was really good a few months ago, which is what I told Andre, and we've sort of gone away from that. So that needs a lot of work. The UI and UX, we just didn't spend as much time on this. We knew we've got another, we've got a long time to keep on building that. So we didn't put as much focus on that. It needs a lot of work. And then things like quests and zone designs, bosses, all need a lot of work as well. That's pretty inherent with an MMO. The stuff like lore and story and progression through the quest lines, it's a huge amount of work, and something that we need to focus on to make sure that it's right. But we also need more feedback. So Perry has asked people who are still playing, and there's a few days left. I think we're finishing on the 2nd. Try and do as much questing as possible, and give us feedback on the sort of basic version that we have now. But that ties into the story. So quest for me was something where I said it's a non-negotiable. The only way for us to tell the story of Illuvium, which still no one knows, right? The very few people on our team even have been exposed to the entire storyline, which again was written in a way that it could easily be broken up into a 3-part movie, not as in 3 movies series. And it's always been one of those things where I'm like, I just wish people knew, because it would bring them into the IP so much harder. And that's why it needs to be done right. It does need to be done in a way where it's resourceful. We obviously don't have infinite resources, and we need to be very strategic of how we do that. But it's the way we're going to tell the story. So it has to do it justice. I don't want it to be, here's a diary entry that one dude picks up every, 5 weeks. That's not doing it justice of how good the story is. So that's feedback. I know we're getting on a little bit, but we did start 10 minutes late, right, Rich? So I can push through, but I'll try and speed up. Obviously, the MMOs, got a lot more info than the other products. So I'll keep on going.
Yeah, I don't have anything anywhere to be, so go for it.
Okay, sweet. So one thing, like, obviously we've got a huge roadmap and feature set that we need to build with the MMO. Massive. Now, one thing that, like, and that's going to take a lot of work, and we need to focus on that, obviously, but we need something, and something quickly. And this is what I've been discussing with Perry. Obviously, the storyline is a tough one. It's amazing. I know that it will sell, and I know that it'll hit, but we can't release that. We're not going to go and do a movie before the game comes out. It's just not feasible, or anything like that, right? So we've got a trailer, which I'll talk about in a sec, but that doesn't do it justice. So the story is kind of one of those things that people just need to wait and experience. But that would be a huge selling point, right? Like, a lot of people play games because of that storyline. It's the reason so many games turn into movie franchises. And I genuinely think that the storyline that we have is one of our best assets, but it's not something that we can market pre-game. So I've said to Perry, we need to have a think about, not so, like, what Power World did so well, and it's simple. It doesn't need to be something crazy, but what they did so well is Pokemon with guns. right? Now, everyone could get behind that. Everyone thought, well, that's something that I've never ever heard of. And we've wanted to do that for so long. That's a marketable thing that we can start showing to people. Little snippets, not the full thing, but little snippets of like, and that's what Power World did so well. They were like, look at this, we're shooting one of our creatures. How crazy is that? And people went nuts for it. We need something that is unique that we can start marketing the MMO. And I feel like right now we're building a really good MMO that does have an essence of uniqueness in terms of our Illuvials and our IP and the characters and how much you love them. But I don't think it's enough. I genuinely don't. So we're going to be discussing over the next couple of months what is going to be that marketable sort of headline feature that people go, oh shit, I've got to check out what they're building over there. Even if they hate crypto, even if they, have played Illuvium before and they think, nah, I'm not. What's going to bring people back who have played before, and what's going to grab the attention of gaming magazines and mainstream publishers to say like, oh shit, they are building something that is genuinely unique and a first. It's an MMO. It's a very, very massive world. It can have any feature you want basically in it, which is why it's so cool. We can come up with one of those unique things and start working on that. And it's a non-negotiable for me. We absolutely need to have that. And I feel like we don't now. So that's a big thing that we're going to work on. Talking about features, and I've touched on a few of these things, so I won't go too deep in them, but capture, innovation, that's top of the list. Item system depth, things like adding rarity tiers and affixes to make loot more meaningful, and builds and like customization, that's all coming. Co-op and social, we understand that people inside of our ecosystem, especially the people that are here now, love playing together, right? And that it's the core idea of an MMO, right? You jump in, you play with your friends. It's something where, oh, I gained 5 levels last night. How could you go to sleep? You left me to, grind these bosses by myself. It's something that we cannot get wrong, and we're gonna go deeper and deeper in that. It's a known thing that we've been talking about for a long time, but that's a big thing there. Content expansion, so different visuals for armor, not just weapons. Improving the collection UI. Again, the whole ecosystem surrounds collection. It's a creature capture MMO. So making that UI feel special and unique is a big thing. More exploration content. So we've talked about adding another region. The cool thing there is obviously we've got a lot of regions which have already been built out, not purpose for the MMO, so that it's not a immaterial amount of work, but we've got to add more and more content to make it feel like that massive MMO that people are expecting. And then we've talked about it, smoother alluvial combat. And I was very excited to see this. That it was a bit of not an argument. Again, I would call it a robust discussion between Andre, myself, Perry, Roger, about PvP, right? Like adding niche PvP experiences, kind of like we were originally going to do with the roguelike. That is something that we've been thinking about, right? And initially it was, no, we don't want to do PvP. It is a big thing to bolt on, but it's also something where if we do it small and niche, then we can make a very fun experience. And it even can be an experience that potentially is available before the full MMO launches, right? Like that's the value add that we have. were very aware that the MMO is no longer, the overworld is no longer available. There was still a couple of thousand people that played it every single month. So being able to build and add some type of PvP experience that's available prior to the MMO launching is on our list now, and I'm very, very excited about that. And then expanding to a much larger Alluvial roster. As you guys know, we've talked about it for a long time. Set 2, we're going to release them first in Illuvium Beyond. I spoke about that on Monday. Those eventually will come into the MMO as well. So really cool there. A lot of people have been asking testing cadence. So how often are we going to open it up? The first thing to note is it's a lot of work, right? Like obviously the director of this MMO has literally been in multiple hour-long conversations and testing sessions with people from the community because he wants first-hand information because it's that important, right? He doesn't want someone else to collate it and then come to him and it's not quite right. So there's a huge amount of resources that have gone into this. Obviously, we've got to spin up the builds. We've got to then fix bugs that are in there that are game breaking and it's live product instead of it being, something that we can fix in our own time. So there's it's not just a hey, show us what you're doing. There's a lot that goes into it. So I put a month in here where I think we'll start it back, but I don't even think I want to say that because I don't want to set that expectation. We will do it when we're ready, right? We've got a lot of stuff that we've gotten over the last 10 days, and we'll keep on gathering it over the next 3. But we will then have to go deep into development, put our heads down and make sure that, all we're doing is fixing things and making features better. And so we don't really want to think about doing another testing period until we're very, very happy that the things that were broken are no longer broken. The things that felt bad are more polished, or we have a new type of feature. All of that kind of stuff is what we want to get in place because, again, this is not about a marketing stunt or anything like that. That's why you wouldn't have seen much coverage from our official channels. It's not about that at this stage. It's literally a QA testing team that we no longer have because we downgraded, we downsized the team. Part of that was getting rid of our QA team. We passed that on to you guys. So that's what it's about, and we'll do it when we're ready, basically. Same thing with when will we release. The one thing that we absolutely cannot do, there's things like the risk to earn game, different formats of arena, new sets with Beyond, new features for Zero, all of that kind of stuff is things that we can test it out. Let's build it quickly, see if the community likes it. If they don't, chuck it out. If they do, great. See what sticks, see what makes revenue. We can do those things in the interim, right? And that's the way that we positioned the studio. One thing that we cannot fuck with, and I'm adamant about this, and I do not care how long it takes. Obviously, we're trying to do this as fast as possible. We know we have a limited amount of runway for now. I've got plans to fix that in the future, but we will not release it until it's good, until it's ready, actually ready. And that was the mistake that we made with Overworld originally. We will not make that mistake again. So you can obviously ask when, and you're well in your rights to ask when, but the answer is when we're ready. Last couple of things, trailer timing. So we do, as you guys know, we do have a trailer that is complete. We aren't going to release that yet, and the reason is the game is progressing really, really fast. We're adding new features in, so while I would say like the 80% of that trailer is going to stay, there's probably 20% that needs to be modified here and there to make it fit with the game that it's going to be. So as much as I would love to just say fucking YOLO, see one of our epic trailers that everyone loves and makes the token price spike and all this shit, we again need to do it properly, and we only want to release it when we're happy with it, which is frustrating because this trailer has been ready for the last 12 months. But again, there's no point hyping things up for a game that has changed and or is going to change in the future. We're done with doing that type of stuff, and not that we ever intentionally did it, but this time around with the MMO, everything needs to be done strategically, and this is one thing that we're not willing to market something that doesn't exist or anything like that. uh a polished slice before the world opens. So yes, we've been talking about a vertical slice for a long, long time. It's sort of going to merge with the fact that we're going to have these community testing periods every few months or whatever. So yes, eventually one of those community testing periods is going to be an official vertical slice, but again, we don't have a time frame on when that's going to be. And of course, for that specific one, it will be opened up to thousands of people, not just 50 to 100. So yes, that will come in the future. The last thing for any of the landholders that are out there, when Perry pitched me on this, I was like, this is awesome. I really, really like this feature. But so how it works is basically making sure that the land layer stays economically relevant, which is obviously very important. We've sold land under the pretense that it's going to fit into the ecosystem. It's going to be the way that people buy fuel and get cosmetics and stuff like that. Now we're taking that one step further. And the idea is that landholders will develop specialized fusion reactors. Those reactors work using efficiency as a fee. And basically, what they do is they provide the ability to fuse some of these items that we were talking about earlier, the rare stuff, the unique stuff, all on chain, obviously. But the way part of that process, and again, not making it super complex, ideally you won't even know that you're using someone's land, but what they are creating on these out of these fusion reactors will be one part of crafting and fusing. And I think this will obviously create a lot more trade activity. It's going to increase the DAO fees. It's a way for people to have like pay to progress, and it ties into landholders, right? Every single time someone is fusing one of these items, they are going to get paid, which is another revenue stream for you guys, which I think is really exciting and something that we've always been talking about. Like how literally on Tuesday was how do we make more revenue streams for these landholders? This is one of them, and it ties into an integral part of the MMO where the whales who do want to spend big money on fusing things, this is one part of the ingredient list that they need. And yeah, I thought that was super smart and a really good way to bring the community together. So that's it. I know that was very comprehensive and done at a very fast pace. I think I'm about to lose my voice, but if there's anything we didn't cover, I know we're very, very over time and I've got a meeting in 4 minutes. Let me know. Was there anything in the comments, Rich?
I mean, they were more specifics that I think, probably, I mean, you covered most of it, but like, yeah, fusing coming back, like alluvial fusing, that's like asked a few times, and I don't think we know the answer to that specifically, right? I mean, I think yes, like, but obviously, but I don't know if it's going to be the same as people, did it before, is what Perry said in the past.
No, it will be much more simple
Yeah,
in the future, but no, we don't have the exact mechanics yet.
yeah. And
I mean,
then
we touched on it a little bit in here, but yeah.
and then alluvial burning as well. They were asking about, the alluvial burning system, how that might work.
Again, will there be an alluvial burning system for things like rare items and crafting and stuff like that? Yes, absolutely. It's at the core of crafting, and that ties into the revenue loop, right? Like if you don't have any alluvials that are on chain, then you're not able to get some of these rarer items. If you do want to do that, then you need to bring them on chain. To bring them on chain, that is going to cost you some money. That's how we make some revenue. But again, instead of it being you cannot access this game unless you give us a dollar, it's now access the entire game. But if you want to get enhancements and things for your items that are more rare, then you do need to be pushed across into on-chain land. And to do that, there are fees on a per item basis, right? Not in the sense that, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to, right? Which I think is where the friction was caused. You couldn't do anything except go and capture tier zero alluvials, which everyone was like, well, why the fuck would I do that? That was what caused the friction. Whereas this is like opt in, which I think is way better.
Yeah. And that was actually covering Taryn's question for the most part, but his question was, and then we're done after this. Will bringing items or on chain be paid per item, or will we offer like a pack of tickets, for example, to avoid,
So
yeah, multiple transactions?
I don't know. I would assume I can see Perry's in the audience, so feel free to answer that. I would assume that we're going to make it uh, potentially like if you want per item, you can, but if you also want to buy, a bundle of whatever this the in-game, whether it be fuel or whatever, then yes, you will be able to buy a whole bunch because obviously every single time having to do an on-chain transaction gets a little bit frustrating. But I would assume there would be both methods.
Yeah. I mean, like I said before, or like I said in, previous town halls, ZK EVM makes a lot of things easier and more possible. So I think all that stuff will be possible. So, alrighty. Well, I think we're good. We got all the questions answered. We're a little bit over time, but we started late. So, again, thank you everybody for coming to the MMO Town Hall. This was all live and recorded, so you guys can rewatch it if you missed some. The next town hall will be Monday, starting at the same time, and that will be based on the risk to earn game. And then I think we're going to cover some staking stuff as well, just to make sure we get all the bases here. So yeah, again, thank you for coming, everybody, and thank you, Kieran, for covering all that stuff for us.